Hello friends, welcome to the fantastic world of stories and why we tell them from Culture Katha. We are now on the threshold of spring, the season of love and romance. In the north of India, Holi marks the onset of spring and also celebrates the famous love story of Krishna and Radha. Interestingly, this year Holi festival happens to coincide with the International Women's Day. Both fall on the 8th of March. So I wanted to do a video that covers both these themes, love and women. And guess what? I found a perfect story in the Mahabharata that beautifully combines both the themes, the love story of Nala and Damayanti. Nala, the king of the Nishadas, had heard a lot about the beautiful Damayanti, princess of Vidarbha, and wanted to marry her. She too had heard of him and wished to meet him. One day, Nala happened to see a beautiful swan with golden feathers in his garden. When he caught it, the beautiful swan spoke and pleaded with him to let it go. Nala agreed to do so, but on the condition that the swan would carry a message for him to Damayanti. The swan agreed and, as promised, flew to Vidarbha to meet Damayanti. There, the swan met the princess and told her about the great qualities of Nala and about how he desired to marry her. Hearing about Nala from the swan, Damayanti too fell in love with him. As days passed, she grew thin and pale, pining for Nala. Fortunately, Damayanti's parents understood what was ailing her and promptly called for a swayamvar where she could choose her mate. The big day came and several kings assembled, hoping to marry the incredibly beautiful Damayanti. But Damayanti had eyes only for Nala. But when she went to him with her garland, she was confused to find 4 other men beside him looking exactly like Nala. So who were these Nala lookalikes? They were the gods, Indra, Varuna, Agni and Yama. They too had come desiring to marry the gorgeous Damayanti. Such was her beauty that even the gods desired her. But Damayanti was steadfast in her conviction. She wanted to marry Nala and Nala only. Even the immensely handsome and powerful gods could not sway her. So she prayed to the gods that if her love for Nala was true, they should disclose their true selves to her. Pleased with Damayanti, the gods revealed themselves and helped her identify Nala. A grateful Damayanti then walked up to the real Nala and garlanded him. Everyone, including the gods, was happy with the union and blessed the couple with joy and prosperity. Nala and Damayanti spent many years of wedded bliss together and soon had 2 children of their own. Unfortunately, as we have also seen in the Ramayana, love stories do not always have happy endings, nor did this one. It had so happened that at the time of Damayanti's Swayamvar, 2 of the gods had arrived at Vidarbha, both hoping to marry Damayanti. They were Kali and Dwapara, the personifications of the 2 yugas. Once Kali came to know that Damayanti had married Nala, he was extremely disappointed. Jealous of Nala, he started to look out for a suitable opportunity to have his revenge on him. And that opportunity came very soon. One day, Nala forgot to clean himself thoroughly before performing his evening rituals. Kali chose that moment to enter Nala. Now, this may seem like a frivolous reason to punish someone, but how often in life we find ourselves facing a lot of difficulties for no major fault of ours, and how often we find small mistakes of ours leading to disastrous outcomes. That's probably what happened with Nala too. Kali, residing in Nala's body, started to instigate him to invite his cousin Pushkara for a game of dice. Now Pushkara, who had always been jealous of Nala, seized the opportunity to play with him. Pushkara, like Shakuni, was adept at the game but also unscrupulous. He cheated Nala, who was not very good at dice. So Nala kept losing against Pushkara, but like Yudhishthira, refused to stop playing. Months passed, the game did not stop. Nala lost his riches, his kingdom, and all his belongings. Yet he continued to play. Meanwhile, Damayanti and his well-wishers tried their best to stop him, but he wouldn't listen to them. Realizing that Nala's addiction would destroy their whole family, Damayanti decided to protect her children. So she had them sent away to her father, the king of Vidarbha. Meanwhile, Nala had lost all his possessions. So Pushkara goaded Nala to take Damayanti next. This made Nala furious. It was at this point he realized his folly and the blunders he had committed. At once he decided to stop playing. Pushkara was declared the winner. Nala had to go into exile to the forests. Now Damayanti decided to join Nala in his exile despite his efforts to dissuade her. While Nala had to go away to the forests according to the rule of the game, Damayanti was free to go wherever she wished. Yet, in her love for Nala, she chose to accompany him to the forests. Having lost all their possessions, Nala and Damayanti had nothing left with them except the garments they bore. As husband and wife roamed the forests, hunger hit them. Nala then decided to use his waist cloth as a net to catch some birds which they could kill, cook and eat. Unfortunately, the birds were too clever for him. Together, they lifted the cloth that Nala had thrown to catch them and flew away with it. Now Nala was left standing stark naked with not a piece of cloth to cover himself. Clearly, Nala had hit the lowest point in his life. Completely depressed with the turn of events and wishing to spare Damayanti his misfortune and the difficulties of forest life, Nala decided to abandon her. He thought that if she was left alone, Damayanti would go back to her father's kingdom. So that night when Damayanti was sleeping, Nala, covering himself with a piece of cloth he tore from Damayanti's garments, quietly walked away. Mahabharata movingly describes Nala's frame of mind when he abandons Damayanti. He tries to leave her and go, but his love pulls him back to her again and again. The epic says his mind was like a swing that oscillated between leaving her and being with her. After a lot of back and forth, he eventually left her, his heart full of grief. When Damayanti woke up, she was shocked to find herself alone in the forest. Dirty, hungry and alone, she roamed the forest aimlessly trying to find Nala. Nalopakhyaana describes Damayanti's plight in poignant detail. Once the princess of Vidarbha, then the queen of the Nishadas, she had now been reduced to a destitute woman, left all alone in the world to fight her destiny alone. But Damayanti was no ordinary woman. She did not lose her courage, even in the most adverse of circumstances. After a long journey, confronting several adverse incidents in the forest, with valor and resolve, she finally managed to reach her father's house and rejoined her children. Meanwhile, Nala was roaming the forests. One day, he found a snake caught in a forest fire, crying out for help. He stepped into the fire and rescued it. After thanking Nala for saving him from the fire, the snake bit him. Lo and behold, Nala was now transformed into a deformed hunchback. Nala was shocked by his physical transformation, but the snake reassured him that his new form was going to be a blessing for him. He asked him to go to the city of Ayodhya in his new guise and learn the tricks and trade of playing dice from King Rituparna, who was highly skilled in the game. The serpent also gave Nala a set of robes and told him that anytime Nala wanted to regain his earlier form, he only had to think of the serpent and wear the robes. Following the serpent's instructions, Nala joined the palace of King Rituparna as his charioteer and cook, Bahuka. Incidentally, Nala was highly skilled in driving chariots and could drive at great speeds. So under the guise of Bahuka, Nala started to spend his days there, patiently waiting for the times to change in his favor. Meanwhile, Damayanti was in her father's palace waiting for Nala. But unlike Nala, she was not happy to just wait for things to happen. Instead, she took charge and proactively set out a search party to find him. A messenger appointed by her toured all the nearby kingdoms looking for Nala. In order to find him, the messenger posed a clever riddle devised by Damayanti in each of the king's courts he visited, a riddle that only Nala could answer. When Damayanti's messenger finally arrived at Ayodhya, Nala, in the guise of Bahuka, answered the riddle, thus giving himself away. The messenger suspected Bahuka to be Nala, but was not sure as he looked different. Anyway, he took the news about Bahuka back to Damayanti, who then devised another plan to bring Bahuka to her. So she sent a false message to King Rituparna in her father's name, inviting him to attend a second Swayamvar being organized for Damayanti, as her husband Nala could not be found. When Nala heard this, he was shocked. King Rituparna was, of course, thrilled at the prospect of marrying the famously beautiful Damayanti. As the Swayamvar was being organized at a very short notice, the king had to rush to Vidarbha. He therefore sought the services of Bahuka, who could drive the chariot very swiftly and ensure that the king reached Vidarbha the very next day. Bahuka agreed to help the king, but in return asked him to teach the secrets of the dice game. The king happily did so. So by the time they reached Vidarbha, Nala had become an expert in the dice game. Now Kali, who had occupied his body, too left him. However, on reaching Vidarbha, Nala and the king were surprised to find that there was going to be no Swayamvara. Meanwhile, Damayanti, wanting to make sure that Bahuka was indeed Nala, sent her children to the horse's stable where Bahuka was resting. Recognizing the two children as his own, Bahuka burst into tears. At once, Damayanti knew Bahuka was none other than Nala. She rushed to meet him. It was a happy moment of reunion for Nala and Damayanti, and their children, of course. Bahuka then took out the robes the serpent had given him and wore them. At once, he was transformed into the youthful and handsome Nala that he once had been. Armed with his newly acquired knowledge of dice and Damayanti by his side, Nala went back to his kingdom and challenged his cousin Pushkara to play the game of dice again with him. Pushkara accepted the challenge but was defeated by Nala in the game. He had to hand over all of Nala's belongings, his kingdom, his riches back to him. But above all, Nala was overjoyed to regain his biggest asset, Damayanti. Friends, this story is often narrated as a motivational story to showcase how fate can bring even a powerful man to his knees, and also how bad times too never last forever. But to me, the story tells two more things. One, on how true love can survive any challenge. More importantly, it demonstrates when love meets adversity, women prove to be far greater warriors than men. So here's wishing all you awesome women a fantastic Women's Day and happy Holi to everyone. Till we meet again, it's Tata, bye-bye. Take care.